Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei is son of the Great Red part 35. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video with your friends. I have created my other videos playlist, there you can watch my all videos easily, check out as well. And also check previous parts of this what if. Let's start this video. Akeno smiled. Well, it's Grafia-sama, of course, she revealed. Issei couldn't help but raise his eyebrow in disbelief. What do you mean? How could Grafia's appearance cause Rias to act like that? He pointed towards a distressed Rias who was still running around the entire place and probably still didn't even notice their presence. I mean, she acted perfectly normal the last time she appeared here even before Riser, and his peerage was present if I recall correctly. Issei added, recalling how Rias was acting normally in the presence of Grafia when they had a previous meeting in this very same room. You aren't exactly wrong, Issei-kun. However, the reason that Rias was so calm the last time around is because Grafia-sama was still performing her duties as a maid. However, today Grafia-sama is coming on her day off. Akeno answered. Alright, but why would Grafia coming to visit on her day off send Rias into a frenzy? Issei still didn't understand the problem. You see, usually she comes by as a maid under the House of Gremory, meaning she has a master-servant relationship towards Rias, who is the heir of the Gremory family, as you already know. But it's a different story when she takes a day off. Only then, she acts like her sister-in-law. Despite the fact that Surzicha-sama and her never married, she still respects and views Grafia as a sister, and no one had any issues with that. Grafia-sama, however, strictly told her that she could only refer to her as such when she is on her day off. Today is one such day, which is why Rias right now is having a nervous breakdown to make sure everything is perfect for Grafia-sama. There's also the additional fact that Grafia becomes stricter with Rias, which is also why Rias Butchu is scared of her when she comes by. Akeno finished explaining the reason Rias gets so anxious to Issei, who couldn't help but was even more shocked. It makes sense, considering that all the times he met Grafia, she had been acting very professionally as befitting of a maid of the esteemed Gremory family, so this would technically be the first time he would get to see her acting more formally, I guess. I see that even Butchu has someone that she is weak against. Mitsuda said in slight awe. So, why did she decide to visit here on her day off? Issei asked. A small part of him was actually very happy to meet her. Something that Akeno clearly knew considering the conversation they had with his family about her being a potential mate. She didn't mind it at all. Unlike Tiamat, whom she had barely known, Akeno had spent a lot of time with Grafia and she grew to respect and admire her. She had absolutely no problem with Grafia becoming a fellow mate to Issei, as that would make them sort of sisters in a way. From what I could decipher from Butchu, she has something important to notify us about. Other than that, who knows? Maybe she is here to see a certain someone, who knows? She teased as she looked at Issei, who looked away with a small blush, understanding who she meant. Akeno, have you finished preparing tea yet? Oh, you three have arrived. My apologies that I couldn't welcome you myself. As you can see, I'm getting ready to prepare for the arrival of Grafia-sama. Rias approached the three of them before she started fixing Mitsuda's collar and his uniform. Yes, Butchu, said a very happy Mitsuda who really enjoyed the closeness with Rias. All of a sudden, a magic circle belonging to the Gremory family appeared in the middle of the room. Simply by looking at Rias' reaction, everyone could already tell who it was. As expected, the person who appeared from the magic circle was none other than Grafia. However, to Issei's shock and awe, she looked entirely different from what he was used to. Normally, she was dressed up as maid and held a certain grace and professionalism as befitting of a maid of the prestigious Gremory family. However, today she was wearing entirely different clothes as well as sported a different hairstyle than what he was used to. She was currently wearing casual clothes, yet one could tell that they were of an expensive brand. The clothes fit her perfectly and truly helped to emphasize her wonderful proportions. Something that Issei couldn't help but notice. Her silver hair was flowing down her back naturally. All in all, she looked absolutely breathtaking. He couldn't help but be mesmerized by her, and this was something that was easily noticed by Akeno, who chuckled at his reaction. It would seem that Auntie Ophis was right about his infatuation with Grafia-sama, she thought to herself. In fact, she was positive that if Issei had his tail out, it would be swinging around excitedly like a puppy who is elated at seeing its master. Grafia soon made eye contact with Issei and smiled at him, which blew Issei's mental capacity at how beautiful it was. Of course, he didn't notice the small blush Grafia carried by his ever so perceptive girlfriend beside him certainly had. And it would seem the infatuation might be mutual. Akeno smirked as she noticed Grafia's expressions. Good evening everyone. How are you all doing? Grafia greeted everyone, who all greeted her in return. She then looked at Rias. How are you doing, Rias? Grafia asked in a casual manner. I'm doing great, one-sama. Ria smiled even though one could tell she looked a bit nervous. Good evening Haim-sama. It's been a while. Everyone was startled when they heard the voice of an unfamiliar person. Even Issei was shocked that he didn't notice his presence, although this was in no small part due to the fact that he was enthralled by Graphia's presence. Everyone looked towards the second entity that teleported alongside Graphia. He was indeed a strange-looking creature that had the face of a red Ossian dragon, yet had the body of a horse or deer, despite being covered in red scales. It took a while for Issei to finally recognize what he was. He recalled how Tannen had once told him about Surzich's peerage, and that one of his pawns was the legendary creature known as a Killen. To think that Surzich's was able to turn such a sacred creature into his servant proves just how powerful he really is. Just sensing his aura, he could tell that he was leagues above Ria's and the others except of course himself and Graphia. Good evening to you as well, Enku-sama. It's been quite a while since I last saw you. Ria smiled as she proceeded to pat Enku's neck, who appreciated the gesture. He then turned his attention towards Mitsuda, Issei, and Asuya. Oh my, if it isn't the Red Dragon Emperor, Ria's cute little bishop, and Issei Hyodo. I believe this is our first encounter. I'm one of Surzich's pawn, Enku. Pleased to make your acquaintance, he politely greeted the two of them. Mitsuda, of course, was caught by surprise. It's nice to meet you as well. No, it's nice to meet you as well, Enku-sama. Asuya stuttered a bit as she greeted him with a bow. Enku couldn't help but smile at the little dragon. It would seem Haim-sama was telling the truth when she said that she gained a cute bishop. You are probably the most adorable little thing I have ever seen. Even your presence is incredibly soothing to this old man's heart. Enku complimented Asuya, who couldn't help but blush in embarrassment. Thank you. Are you also a dragon, Enku-sama? She couldn't help but ask after noticing his dragon features. Not exactly. He answered, resulting in Mitsuda and Asuya tilting their heads in confusion. What does that mean? You literally look like a dragon, so how can you not be one? Mitsuda asked. However, before Enku could respond, Issei answered for him. It's because he is a Killen, Mitsuda. Everyone looked to Issei in surprise. Even Enku was a bit taken aback that he knew what he was. The what? Mitsuda had no idea what a Killen was as question marks were appearing in his mind. The Killen is a legendary creature that is known as a chimera. While it does possess the features of an Ossian dragon, it is not exactly a dragon. You could say that he is part dragon as shown by his features such as the scales and his face. If I am not mistaken, the Killen are said to be creatures that bring good fortune to others as well as protect the innocent from malicious beings. This is the first time I've ever met one, and it is an honor to meet you. Issei finished his explanation as he greeted Enku. Everyone, including Killen himself, was surprised by his knowledge. I have to say, I'm surprised you knew so much about my kind. Enku started, causing Issei to scratch his head. Well, technically, I learned about you from Tannen Shishu. He used to teach me about all kinds of dragons as well as their associated species. You were one of them, and he even told me that the Surziches had a Killen as a servant. I believe you both already met previously, Issei said, making Enku nod in acknowledgement. So you heard of me from Tannen Dono. It's true that we have previously met. He was incredibly polite towards me and even allowed me to sample the dragon apples that he has been growing in his territory. I have to admit, they were truly delectable. Enku smiled as he recalled old memories. Wait, you are a servant? Mitsuda said in shock. Enku nodded. Indeed I am. In fact, I am a pawn just like your Red Dragon Emperor Dono. Enku revealed it to Mitsuda. Oh really? How many pawns did you take? He couldn't help but ask. Enku rubbed his chin as he tried to recall the details. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really pay much attention to the process, but I think it was 3 or 4. I believe Graphia-sama would know. He looked towards Graphia, who sighed. It was 4, and Enku-sen, I believe I already told you that you do not need to call me Sama. That amount of respect should be addressed only toward Surziches, who is our king. I am simply a member of Surziches Sama peerage, just like you. I don't believe the author ever specified how many pieces he used on him, so this is just my assumption. Enku couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Haha, I believe our respect is well placed in you, Graphia-sama. You are the queen of this peerage, and your position is one that deserves respect. Besides, Surziches-sama on more than one occasion has admitted that you are the one that keeps our peerage together, and I for one agree with him. I'm sure the others do too. Graphia simply sighed and gave up. It was the same result no matter how many times she talked to them about this matter. Although she would have to have a few stern words with Surziches when she gets back. In the underworld, Surziches felt a cold chill running down his spine as he was playing with his son and his wife. Mitsuda was surprised that someone like Enku only took 4 pieces while he was worth 8 pieces. Seeing Mitsuda's expression, Issei could already guess what he was thinking, so he patted his shoulder, causing Mitsuda's attention to turn to him. The reason Enku was able to be turned using only 4 pieces was due to the fact that it was Surziches who reincarnated him. If you remember, beings that are able to be reincarnated are heavily dependent on the strength of both the king and the being who will be reincarnated. The Mau Lucifer is said to be the strongest devil in the underworld, so it's only natural he would be able to reincarnate almost any being compared to other high-class devils. If Riaz attempted to reincarnate Enku, I can guarantee you that she would not have been able to do it. Likewise, if Surziches was the one who reincarnated you, it wowould probably have taken only 1 pawn. No offense to the both of you, of course. He said to Riaz and Mitsuda, hoping he didn't offend them too much. It's alright, Issei-san. I'm very aware of the huge disparity between my brother and I completely agree with your statement. I doubt I would have been able to reincarnate anyone in my brother's peerage, even if I had mutated pieces in my possession. Riaz answered with a wave of her hand. None taken. Added Mitsuda. Issei nodded. If anything, it shows just how strong Enku is, since it took the Mau Lucifer 4 pieces to turn him into a devil. Said an impressed Issei. It is an honor to be complimented so by the Crimson Calamity Dragon. I appreciate it. Enku responded, earning him a surprised look from Issei. The what? Oh, that is the title that the people of the underworld have been calling you after your match against Riser Phoenix. I'm sure my king informed you that the match was going to be broadcasted throughout the underworld, and after witnessing your might, that is what the devils have begun to refer to you by explaining Enku. When he heard the title the devils gave him, he couldn't help but puff out his chest. It was certainly a cooler name than Dragon Prince. He liked it. Akeno couldn't help but chuckle at her boyfriend's response, knowing how excited he truly was. Wow, that sounds so cool bro, responded an impressed Mitsuda. Yes it does. Responded to an elated Issei. Enku smiled before shifting his gaze towards Graphia. Then Graphia-sama, I will be returning to my station. He bowed respectfully. Very well. Thank you for escorting me here. Although, I would have been fine by myself. Sighed Graphia, making Enku laugh. Haha, I'm sure you would have, but as our queen, you deserve an escort. Of course, I don't have the slightest thought of you being in danger even without one, but better safe than sorry. I just thought I could bring fortune to everyone here, including a certain pair that our king would love to bless. Enku smirked, causing Graphia to blush, knowing exactly who he was talking about. Issei was still on cloud 9 over his newly given title, so he never noticed this. Best of all, it allowed me to see Haim-sama and meet the Red Dragon Emperor who is going to become the Waka. Waka, what is that? Mitsuda couldn't help but utter as he had no idea what that term even meant, but Riaz certainly knew if the blush of her face showed any indication. Why, you don't need to worry about Mitsuda-kun. She said nervously as she waved her hands frantically. She then looked towards Enku. You can stay for a bit longer if you want, Riaz said with a tone of sadness. Enku smiled fondly at the Crimson Princess. Those words are enough for me, Haim-sama. I still have a lot of duties to perform as a servant to Surziches-sama. I only came to escort Graphia-sama here before returning back to the underworld. However, I would like to head to the mountains once more while carrying you on my back like before. Haim-sama. Riaz looked to be a bit embarrassed as Enku revealed such details. Oh, that's cute, Asuya said, earning her a blush from Riaz. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Akeno rides me even now from time to time, Issei added. Silence then ensued before he started hearing Akeno laughing, and the rest of the girls' faces turned crimson red. He had no idea what was going on. You pervert, he heard Kaneko say. Huh? It took a while for him to recall what he said before his own face turned as crimson as his scales. Wait. I didn't mean it like that. Meant that she rides on my back in my dragon form. I swear. Issei spoke extremely fast in embarrassment, having just realized what he insinuated with his poor choice of words. His mate, on the other hand, seemed to be having a blast. You shouldn't worry too much, Issei. I'm sure they understand what you meant. Then again, it's not like what you said was incorrect, isn't that right, Issei-kun, she said seductively. Akeno shouted at Riaz, her face still as crimson as her hair. Ahahaha. Enku couldn't help but laugh at himself. Anyways, it's about time I head off. I bid you all farewell, and it was a pleasure to meet each and every one of you. He bowed as they all waved goodbye before he turned into red mist, heading back to the underworld. Graphia then coughed into her hand to bring back the attention towards herself. Everyone looks at her. But the greetings out of the way, let's get back to the matter at hand. I have a few things I would like to address. First of all, Riaz has agreed, you are now free to choose whomsoever you wish to marry. Of course, you will need to notify your brother who wishes to be sure that the man whom you've decided to entrust your life to is worthy of you. Graphia looked towards Mitsuda before looking back at Riaz, who looked absolutely nervous. Yes, Graphia-sama. She answered. Next, I bring a piece of news regarding one member of your peerage, specifically your queen. Everyone including the aforementioned person wondered what was going on. But the Keno? Is something the matter? Rias couldn't help but ask and worry for her queen and friend. Everything is fine, Rias. It's just that it has been decided that Akeno Himejima will henceforth be promoted to mid-class devil starting now. How everyone exclaimed in shock and surprise. Wait, seriously? How could that be Grafia 1-sama? In order to be promoted to mid-class devil, there are several tests that need to be accomplished to test them. Why would the mass and especially the council suddenly decide to? Rias immediately understood what was going on as she shifted her attention to Issei. Everyone else did the same as Issei looked around, seeing everyone's gaze including Grafia's towards him. Oh, why do I feel that this is because of me? Grafia chuckled before she decided to answer his inquiry. That's because it is Issei Hyodo. As Enku mentioned previously, your match against Riser Phoenix had been shown throughout the underworld and everyone got to witness your overwhelming might. However, they also observed how Akeno Himejima was able to calm down the wrath of the Crimson Calamity Dragon. Many have started to call her by the nickname Dragon Priestess, and it seems she has garnered a lot of attention both from the citizens as well as high-class nobles. Grafia began to explain. The Dragon Priestess, I like the sound of that. Akeno seemed amused by her newly acquired title. She quite liked it if she was being honest. Issei was focused on a different part of the explanation. Those nobles better not be getting any ideas over my mate. I destroyed Riser for insulting her. If they even think of touching Akeno, then I will have no qualms of erasing their pitiful existence, Issei growled. You do not need to worry about that issue. The mouse will make sure none of those noble even think of drowning in those fantasies. They would like the underworld to remain in one piece. Grafia joked, which seemed to lighten Issei's mood as he calmed down. Anyways, in light of recent events, the underworld has decided that it was best to avoid any sort of conflict with you, and they believed Akeno to be the key since she holds influence over you. They aren't exactly wrong. Issei chuckled as that statement was certainly true. Akeno wrapped her arms over his as they shared a glance. Grafia then proceeded to continue. As a result, it has been decided to officially promote Akeno to a higher position, even though the mass and the council had different opinions on the matter. The mass wanted to promote her to a mid-class devil rather than high class, as it wouldn't be fair to other mid-class devils who had worked hard throughout their entire lives and had yet to rise to high class. Promoting her to high class might have been seen as favoritism, considering 2 of the 4 mass are directly related to Urias, which may have led to an unnecessary conflict between other devils. The council, however, actually wanted to promote Akeno to a high-class devil. Urias seemed shocked at that. The council made it no secret that they despised low-class devils, and especially reincarnated devils, as they felt they tarnished pure bloods, which is why they seldom ever recommended any reincarnated devil to promote to mid-class, much less high-class. Furthermore, everyone knows of the silent hatred the council bears towards the 4 mass, who are more than willing to let go of old traditions. Yet, here they are promoting Akeno, who is the queen of Surzich's younger sister peerage. This makes no sense, said a confused Rias who couldn't make heads or tails of the council decision. She then felt someone pat her shoulder. She looked up to see that it was Grafia who had done so. You do not need to think too much about it. Their intentions are less than noble regarding this decision. I surmise that the reason they would like to promote Akeno Himejima is to be able to separate her from you and Surzich's. What do you mean separate Fukubuchu from Buchu? Mitsuda interrupted as he questioned what she meant. Mitsuda-kun. Rias gave Mitsuda a frown for having interrupted Grafia, but Grafia simply patted her shoulder to let her know she didn't mind. It's alright, Rias. Anyways, I'm assuming that Rias explained to you how members of the peerage have the chance to be promoted to high-class devils, where they will eventually become their own king with their own peerage. She inquired, to which Mitsuda gave a nod. It was his dream to become a harem king with a peerage of nothing but beautiful women, so when Rias explained this to him, you can imagine how absolutely ecstatic he was. Seeing his nod, Grafia continued. That is why it is the council's hope that once she becomes a high-class devil, then they would be able to entice her to join their camp, which would have the added benefit of bringing you in, so they could use you. Currently, in terms of strength, the mass easily exceed the council's strength. That is especially true with Surzich's and Ajuka, who are considered abnormal devils on par with the strength of gods. Meanwhile, the council, throughout the years, have managed to obtain significant influence over the devil society and have many connections. However, if they manage to bring you in, then they might be able to shift the balance in their favor, both in terms of strength and influence, which would result in them gaining full control over the underworld. Grafia finished explaining, causing Issei to scoff as he crossed his arms in annoyance. HMF. They seriously have no understanding of what loyalty is. Indeed. If they think that I would ever betray Arias and the Gremory family, then they have gone senile in their old age. Everyone chuckled at that. True, perhaps I should go and pay them a little visit. Issei cracked his knuckles as he seriously contemplated giving a beatdown to those idiotic old coots. However, Grafia intervened. As much as we would appreciate that, I would like you to refrain from taking such action. Like I previously stated, the council holds a lot of influence and has many connections throughout the underworld, and taking them out will only cause a civil war to erupt. And that is something we cannot afford to allow happen. If strength was all that was required, then Surzicha-sama and Ajuka-sama would have gotten rid of the council a long time ago. Unfortunately, this is a delicate situation where a battle of words is required. In any case, the mass were able to convince the elders that promoting Akeno to a mid-class devil was reasonable and preferable. Even though the council was to refute, they understood that it may cause some conflicts with their allies, so they decided to let the matter go, begrudgingly. Now, Akeno Himejima, can you step forward? Grafia addressed Akeno, who stepped forward as she asked. As of this moment, by orders of the mass and the council, you are hereby promoted to a mid-class devil. Congratulations, and I hope you will keep supporting Rias and continue to serve the underworld to the best of your abilities. Grafia smiled as she congratulated Akeno. The rest of them followed up with a clap of their hands. Issei went ahead and gave her a congratulatory hug. Thank you very much, everyone. I will do my best to meet all your expectations. Although, it is a bit embarrassing that I got promoted due to Issei. You shouldn't worry about that. With all your accomplishments and service, you had already been selected as one of the candidates to be promoted to mid-class quite a while back. All this did was simply further along the decision to promote you. It would have happened sooner or later, so you shouldn't worry about having been promoted to mid-class due to Issei. Besides, having the right connections to advance to a higher position is not that uncommon. In fact, this happens quite often both in the human world and in the underworld, Grafia explained. I see. I will do my best to live up to your expectations then. She bowed gratefully. I'm sure you will. In any case, that was all I needed to mention, said Grafia. Are you also going to return to the underworld, Grafia-sama? Asked Rias. Grafia shook her head. No, since it is my day off, I've decided to take a look around Kuo. It is the place that you are in charge of, and I would like to take a look around, replied Grafia as she stated her intentions to take a look around Kuo. Immediately, Akeno smirked as she had an idea. Ara, if you are going to visit Kuo, then how about having a guide to show you around? She suggested. I appreciate the gesture of Akeno, but I would be more than fine on my own. Also, I'm sure you are planning to celebrate your promotion, so you don't need to stop on my behalf. Grafia immediately replied, causing Akeno to chuckle as she predicted her answer. Ara, in that case, how about if Issei gives you a tour of the city? He knows it just as well as any of us. I'm sure you'll enjoy the company he brings. She smiled mischievously, causing both Grafia and Issei to blush. Something that everyone noticed. Akeno then turned her gaze towards Issei. How about it, Issei? Would you mind accompanying Grafia-sama around the city? Why, you don't need to. Grafia tried to reassure Issei that it wasn't necessary, only for Issei to interrupt. It would be my pleasure. That is, if you will let me. Issei answered with a smile. Oh, then I guess I will be in your care. Grafia couldn't help but stutter. Akeno smiled and ushered them out of the room. Then it's decided. Now move along now, Grafia-sama doesn't have a lot of time before her day off ends, so you should move along quickly. Take care of her, Issei. Akeno stated. You got it. I'll see you later then, Akeno. He gave her a quick kiss before redirecting his attention towards Grafia. Shall we go? He extended his hand, to which she enveloped it with her own. I'll be in your care. Then they were off. Once they left, Rias couldn't help but be surprised. I can't believe it. Grafia-sama actually seems to like Issei-kun. How long has it been since she last saw Grafia blush? Never would be the answer. Indeed she does, answered Akeno. Are you alright with that? He is your boyfriend or mate, as Issei always says, inquired Rias. Akeno smiled. Of course, I'm fine with it, Rias Butchu. I've long since known that Issei might get himself a harem, being a dragon and all. That is why, as long as the feeling is mutual, I don't mind him pursuing other mites. Besides, are you really asking me such a question when your adorable pawn over there will be doing the same thing? She smirked as she pointed towards Mitsuda, who was busy talking with Asuya. Touché, answered Rias. Also, this is Grafia-sama we are talking about. She has been taking care of me for years, and if Issei is the person to help her gain happiness, then who am I to stand in the way of that? I cannot fault Issei or Grafia for falling in love with each other. They are both great people, and I wish them the best and hope that this works out. If it does, then that means Grafia-sama and I am going to be sister wives. I see, was all Rias said. Grafia had always tried her best to ensure her happiness without ever asking for anything in return. She remembered how many times other high-class devils tried to gain her favor, not due to love, but rather because of lust and greed. At some point, it seemed as though she had given up on finding love for herself. In a way, Riaz couldn't help but relate to her because of the similarity of their situation. Both of them were only sought after as either trophies or simply tools for others' benefits. She was fortunate enough to have been saved from this cycle thanks to everyone, including Grafia. Unfortunately, Grafia was not due to the fact that her situation was extremely delicate and difficult. All due to her status. She was the last living Lucifuge remaining. The rest of her family had been killed so long ago. Her family holds an even greater prestige than the Gremory family because they had served the original Lucifer for generations. As a result, many high-class devils have sprung into action wanting to bring Grafia into their fold. Years and years of this has caused Grafia to slowly give up on ever finding love. However, now it would seem that her heart seems to have taken a liking to Issei Hyodo. And if he is the man who will help her find the happiness she deserves, then Riaz can only pray to the mouse that it all works out. Thanks for watching this video. Part 35 is over. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the playlist that I have created and enjoy. Link is in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.